Hello, everyone. Welcome to our panel event, Constructing a Zombie Ballet, from Shakespeare to the Stage and Screen. I'm Natalie Wilson. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a lost soul and board member of the Leigh Purtill Ballet Company. We are celebrating 5 years of ballet for everyone, and we specialize in untraditional and unconventional ballet. We have 5 members from across the country. And today I'm joined by company members on our panel: Leigh Purtill, choreographer and artistic director; Jen Marchane, makeup tutorial and company member; myself, Wilma Wu, company member and costuming lead; Ashley Morford, a remote company member; and Tom Misnick, another remote company member. We're delighted to be here for this event and share the joy of ballet for everyone with you. We're going to start with a little more introduction to the company, speaking with Leigh Purtill, our artistic director. Tell us a bit about the company and its philosophy, and tell us how you went from Shakespeare to Sweet Sorrow.
Thank you, Natalie, and thanks for everybody for joining us today. And thanks also for the company members who are here. Thank you. So the company is a hybrid. It began in 2017 as just a traditional amateur adult ballet company that was, formed with dancers that I knew and wanted to perform. And it's grown to have dancers all over the country, and we have remote performers, we have stage performers, and somehow we sort of make that work all together. So it's really come a long way since 2017. And as Natalie mentioned, our the concept of the mission statement of the company is ballet for everyone, and that is not just the performers on the stage, which I want to be representative of all walks of life, all different people, but also for our audience. I want the audience to feel like ballet can be for them too, that the stories that they see on the stage are representative of the lives that they live, or not that they live their zombie lives, but that they can relate to them in some way. And zombies are an easy way to sort of connect to people. Why not? Zombies are everywhere. So
how did Sweet Sorrow get started? What was the genesis of this?
It had so I'm a ballet instructor and I teach in Los Angeles, and back in 2009, I think that was when it all started. I was teaching like around the Halloween time a tiny little thing that was this little like adagio, which is a short piece of combination in a class. And around that time, I had been really revisiting Shaun of the Dead and a lot of the zombie stuff that I really enjoyed. And somehow, I can't remember how it happened, but I was listening to a piece of music from the Prokofiev score for Romeo and Juliet called Dance of the Nights. And it's a very iconic piece of very dynamic music. And I asked my dancers in the class, could you sort of put these two together, take this adagio music and sort of make it a little bit more like zombies? And they loved it. It was like something that they really enjoyed doing. It was like a character that they really embraced. And it grew from there into, we presented it, like every time I presented it, like in the classroom, people like were really excited to do it. And so then it grew from there. I put a group of dancers together. We did this thing called Art Night Pasadena. And then I wanted to make it a bigger thing because it's just a minute and a half. And because I'm a writer, my first thought was, well, what's the story? I got to tell a story with this. And so because the music came from Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet, I thought, well, that's kind of a no-brainer, no pun intended. But like Romeo and Juliet die at the end. And spoiler alert, in case you haven't read that. So I was like, well, okay, then they guess they would be zombies if I'm going to see them again. And it grew from there. And I wrote a novel and I sort of massaged it like back and forth. I developed, like I had the story and then I made the stage version a little bit bigger and then made this novel. So it sort of like worked together like that. And now it went from a minute and a half in the classroom to on stage and everywhere. And then, hour and a half.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ian, would you be willing to share our first video clip, a bit of an intro of the dancers and the company?
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming to the world premiere of Sweet Sorrow, a Zombie Ballet.
It just gives me a chance to dance, and dance in a way that I can just enjoy it.
What was the best thing about them was the community that they had created among themselves. And what grew out of that community was a mission statement of ballet for everyone.
And Leigh she just stood out to me as somebody who's very inclusive, somebody who didn't put emphasis on how you look.
That we hope to be able to bring ballet to various different organizations, different communities that we don't normally see in ballet.
It has been incredibly healing for myself and my relationship with ballet to be a part of the company.
Now that you've had a chance to see some of us in action, I'd like to bring the conversation around to some of our very special remote dancers who've joined us on the panel today, Ashley and Tom. I want to talk to them about how remote dancers came on board, and then also how the company was impacted by COVID, why the company introduced and incorporated remote dancers. Actually, Leigh, why don't you talk about that first, and then we'll move to the experiences of those dancers.
Absolutely, thanks. So it had actually been a long goal, like a long-term goal of mine, to engage dancers from other parts of the country, other parts of the world, and that was like a big goal. And because I have a lot of dancers who move or express interest. Oh gosh, I wish I could be a part of that, but I live in New York or something. And so obviously the pandemic really pushed that to the forefront. It was something that always something I wanted to do, but then it just kind of blossomed like that was the only thing we could do. And my rehearsals went on Zoom. We did everything on Zoom. It was like sort of just in my classes and everything. And then it seemed natural, like, well, if we're all on Zoom, then we can have anybody anywhere. And then so for the beginning of 2021, the season, that new season, we invited dancers from all over the world, and we got dancers from all over the world, which is really exciting.
Well, let's introduce some of them. Ashley and Tom, tell us a bit about what it's like to be a remote dancer, not actually performing on stage, but working with the company digitally.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm tuning in from Lenape-Hoking, the indigenous lands of the Lenape peoples, or colonially called Philadelphia. I've been part of the company for going on 2 years now. It's been such a fabulous and soul-nourishing community and experience. And autumn and the Halloween season are also my favorite times of the year. So I'm overjoyed to be in a company that has a zombie ballet that happens during Halloween time as one of its main shows. Like the Leigh Purtill Ballet Company, my own dance philosophy is that ballet is and should be for everyone. So I'm a dancer with a chronic injury that I've had for 2 decades, which has limited what I'm able to safely do in ballet class and in ballet choreography. And I was having a difficult time finding ballet communities that felt nourishing for me in the places where I was living. I found that a lot of the spaces were highly competitive, that they held narrow perceptions of who or what a ballet dancer should be, and that there were so many rigid expectations around what a ballet body should do. And these were not environments I wanted to be in. But when classes turned to the online world in 2020, though, I had the opportunity to take classes online all over the world. And through this experience, I learned about and virtually met a lot of amazing adult ballet dancers, companies, schools, instructors, and choreographers really committed to the idea of accessible, inclusive, and anti-oppressive approaches to ballet. So this inspired me to create an Instagram account to document some of my journey as a ballet dancer with a chronic injury. It's Ashley_Tonduing, so TENDUING. And it was through creating this account that I actually learned about the Leigh Purtill Ballet Company. And of course, I was drawn to it right away because of its philosophy that ballet is for everybody. So when there was the opportunity to audition to perform remotely with the company, this was something I was really excited by. You know, when I was younger, I'd perform in ballets, but due to my chronic injury, I thought that performing was never going to be something I would have the chance to do again. And it's just been a wonderful opportunity and experience to be part of this community and to perform alongside such supportive and kind-hearted folks. And then in the process, you know, I've really reconnected with myself as a dancer in positive ways. I'll just share one of the things that I think is most powerful and exhilarating. The most exhilarating aspect of dancing, rehearsing, and performing remotely and online. And that's the way that I've really reconnected with agency over my own body. So I was injured permanently when I was stretching at the ballet bar one day. My teacher told me I wasn't deep enough in my stretch, and I told my teacher I couldn't stretch any deeper. I was at my limit, but she physically pushed me into the bar. And that seriously harmed me and stripped me of control and agency over my own body. So that was a really difficult experience, and I continue to try to process and heal from it today. I didn't anticipate going into remote training and remote rehearsals that I would rekindle a deep understanding of and respect for what it means to have control and agency over my body, but to know that I'm in control of my body when I'm dancing remotely. To know that I'm able to listen to my body and not be physically pushed beyond my capacity has been healing. And then to be supported by the company's philosophy that ballet is for everyone, and for Leigh to choreograph dances for me that respect my body and what I'm able to safely do. That's been really healing and soul nourishing too.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is empowering and nourishing, and startling how emotionally charged you get when you have that kind of respect for agency. So I think all of our members are grateful to Leigh for that. Thanks for sharing that. And now we'll move to Tom. Tom, tell us your story about becoming a remote dancer and what it's like to rehearse with us across the country as a fellow remote dancer.
Well, thank you, Natalie, and thanks for everyone for having us here today. I'm also based in Philadelphia, and my ballet background began as I began getting older, and I wanted to get my body in shape and try to somehow get ahead of Father Time. So a friend who's with the company said, well, why not start taking ballet classes, which I did, and I've been taking ballet for going on 3 years now. I already had a bit of a connection with the company. So by going out to LA and visiting, so when the opportunity for me to become a remote dancer was available, it was something that I leapt at. The process of being a remote dancer and rehearsing, it's a very rewarding experience for me, because as I first knew Leigh a little bit through my visits, and now as a company member, I have such an amazing amount of respect for her creativity, and how when we're all in our little Zoom boxes going over our steps and learning what we need to do for the shows that we do, how she'll listen and help us voice our concerns, but also listen to our ideas and welcome them and say, hey, that's a great idea. Or also through rehearsals, which it took me a while to get used to that, because being here in my little forest, this is our set that we use for Sweet Sorrow, by the way, folks. Just that process of learning the steps and then choreographing to the music was challenging, but it was also a lot of fun. And I'm definitely living proof of the LBPC slogan that ballet is for everyone.
Mm-hmm. I remember when we talked about this earlier that you have a background in professional wrestling.
Yes. There's actually, back in the late 90s, I used to work for the original ECW. I did some of the writing, and I had a little bit of, and I sat in the front row at the shows. So whenever the wrestlers would come out of the ring, I would be somehow involved in getting them something or moving something out of the way. So there is a bit of a correlation between wrestling and ballet in how rehearsed and how choreographed it is. Yes, I'm sorry to say that, folks. Wrestling is choreographed.
Well, it just fascinates me, the idea of
It is. I mean,
and how drama and pathos and
yes.
horror can be incorporated into all these different venues and ways of entertainment. Right now, I'm going to move us into another video. It's about the latest work we've done. It's a science fiction time traveling ballet that is called Hotel at the End of the Universe, an homage to Douglas Adams, you'd say. And it gives you a chance to see some of the remote dancers at work.
Hi, my name is Ariana Burrell and I'm from Thousand Oaks, California.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Blossfield and I'm one of the remote dancers with Leigh Purtill Ballet Company.
This is Laya from Washington, D.C., where I dance in my basement.
Hi, my name is Liz Hofer and I'm joining from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada.
My name is Kavita Master and I live in Chatsworth, California.
Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm from Hillsdale, Michigan.
My name is Ashley and I am joining you from Lenape-Hoking.
I'm Tom Mizik and I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Hi, my name is Natalie Wilson.
I'm Asher and I joined Leigh Purtill Ballet Company in 2020.
Let's see, I started dancing in first grade, so I'd say it's about 50 years.
I've been dancing for 3 years.
I've been dancing for 21 years.
I've been dancing for about 20 years.
I started dancing 3 years ago.
I've been dancing since I was 3 years old, so for most of my life, but I've only been dancing with LPBC for about a year.
At first, it was an alien concept, learning the steps virtually online.
So learning choreography remotely really challenged me in a new way.
I have come to deeply love the agency I have over my body when I dance online.
I feel like I have friends all over the US who love doing the same things that I do.
One of the things I think is coolest is that Bill, who's been in the company forever, and I will be playing the same character from literally across like a continent.
So it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
I would describe the Leigh Purtill Ballet Company as creative, fun, and joyful.
Joyful, fulfilling, and inspiring.
I would say it's been exciting, joyful, and rewarding.
Inspiring, motivational, and just lovely.
It's often hard to believe that most of us have not met or danced together in person. Yet, we all share a passion for dance and this incredible community.
Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, now I'd like to talk with you all about how to achieve the zombie, if you will, aesthetic that we've done for our production and how it's changed over the years. For that, we're going to talk to Wilma and Jen, and they're going to take us through some images over time to talk about the challenges that it presented both on stage and for our remote dancers.
Hi. Yeah, so just to start with some of the costuming and the aesthetic that we try and go for. I know horror has like a wide spectrum of and different definitions of what people consider horror to be. We tried to go for less gory and more atmospheric, I think, in our approach to horror. So not really like the jump scares or that kind of thing, just make it more of a feeling, like give you a kind of creepy, eerie feeling in certain tones. And I think that's what we tried to go for with Sweet Sorrow, a zombie ballet, because it did start out as just the main focus being our zombies. I mean, they're in the title, right? And so just jumping off of that, our the story has continued to grow and evolve with the company and our dancers, and the story just the show is different every year. I think almost all of our ballets shift a little bit every year. So even if you saw it last time or however many years ago, if you watched it this year, you're going to notice changes, differences. It's not going to be the exact same thing that you saw before, which I think is so exciting. And just, okay, so back to the costumes. We started out, of course, our the two that started it all, Romeo and Juliet. Our first year we started as the characters themselves being very much more zombie-like. So they're a little more grayed out. You notice the eye makeup there. It's a little bit more darker, deeper set. There's more grays and kind of a dirtier look. And then as the story grew, we realized, or Leigh realized, that the Romeo and Juliet are actually more true to their, I think, Shakespeare version, essentially, where they need to be a little more earthly. So we brightened that up, and the changes over the years, I hope, show that in the costuming, just becoming a little lighter, breezier for our Juliet, less, just more ethereal a little bit, and more human in colors, less of the zombie grit. Another example of that in our next slide, if you will.
Tattoos, right? I remember you talking
about
tattoos. And
some of the
changes of the actual performers as they change through time.
Sure. If you go back real quick to Juliet here, our first year, our main cast, she has sleeve tattoos or arm tattoos down her arm, and requested sleeves, which I don't think was in my original initial want of the design for the costume, but I accommodated that, and I think it's a really fantastic look for Juliet, and worked out really well because the sleeves were there for a couple of years. And then in order to, and that was like some of the challenges that I get on what the dancer wants, what the choreographer, what Leigh, the creator, wants of the movement of the dancers. And I don't have a background in costuming, by the way. This is just the first year of our company, I just got thrown into it. Well, not thrown into it. She asked for volunteers, and I had helped with, the costuming as a support person in the background. And she's like, who wants to do this? It was silent for a while, probably longer than I remember, or not as long as I remember, but it was like, who wants to do this? And I guess I can do it. And so here I am, attempting or doing costumes. But yeah, that's like some of the challenges, and there's so many more. But with our Juliet in particular, the sleeves originally were to a request by the dancer to just help with the, not have to put on extra makeup or that kind of a thing. But it progressed into, it also changed with our with who Juliet in Sweet Sorrow, a Zombie Ballet, becomes. And so another noticeable evolution of our story and our company is Rosaline, who's our main heroine in the story. And mainly her costume, her look stayed as a funeral look, because that's one of the settings in the show. She's at Romeo and Juliet's funeral, and that's obviously all just stuck with traditional Black. But then our story had some added characters, where Rosaline has a counterpart, Benvolio, who from the original Shakespeare play, I believe, were cousins, or formerly betrothed to Romeo and or Juliet. And so with that addition, obviously the cost, it was also an expansion, like the family members, the Montagues and Capulets, needed to be distinguished. And so that costuming shifted and grew into what it is now. And the way I did that was designating each family a color. One is in shades of purple, the other in blue. And so as the story grew, we also expanded the costume changes. So there's a first act look, which is more funeral, sorrowful, mournful, because they are mourning Romeo and Juliet. And they then transition into, as their adventures continue through the ballet, into more daytime looks. And so that's what we have in 2019. And then 2021 with our cast, Benvolio actually turns into Benedetta, or has transformed, not through the story, but just the casting for that year. And so I mean, new costumes are always fun, but you can see the pictures, I tried to put them on top of each other where the themes are the same. So they have the same coloring, and Rosaline and Benedetta or Benvolio kind of mirror each other because they are kind of counterparts, just like Romeo and Juliet are a pair, essentially. And so they're our main heroines who take us through the story. And it's just one of the many ways that our story just continues to grow and evolve. And the costuming is like a timeline. It's a testament to all the different challenges that we face. Some of the other characters that show up in our in Sweet Sorrow is Medusa, and her costume is changed, I think, almost every year from the first time. And it also I think someone has the volume on. I'm getting a bit of an echo. Thank you. So yes, Medusa, as you can see, she's gone through quite a few different transformations. She was one of the more difficult ones where I was like, I don't know what you should look like. And so I just kind of, approached Leigh and was like, what do you think of this? And she's like, yeah. I think Leigh has very particular things in mind, but she isn't super specific about what it has to be. And so, this is our first Medusa, and she was partnered by a Roman soldier at the time. And eventually the story changed to where Romeo is the one interacting with our Medusa. And the choreography changes too, to fit and suit the dancer. And so you'll notice how it's shifted in our very latest Medusa, who is a wonderful, amazing dancer. And her legs are more traditional ballet colored, as opposed to the previous Medusa, who had leggings, who I kept the green on because I wanted to keep kind of like the long green tail-like feature that Medusa has. And so, I mean, this is just another example of how we approach horror, and it's kind of a little more character-based in its movement and coloring and tone of the music, as opposed to just straight on, I don't know, maybe I'm being stereotypical, like, axes and blood and gore. But yeah, so that's, so you'll see the final Medusa, or the latest edition of Medusa, who knows what she'll wear next time. It has a more toned down look, and just to show off the lines in the choreography at that time. And then another costume changes, similar to the Benvolio and Benedetta transformation. We have our Raven Queen and Ravens. The Raven Queen has traditionally stayed the same. She's very much in the realm of ballet with the plaited tutu and very regal with a tiara. But her entourage of ravens has shifted because in 2019 we had a male dancer join that cast. And so in skirts, I don't think long skirts would have worked for everyone. Plus the choreography, I think, changed, and the story as well. You'll notice a scarf from 2018 to 2019 that isn't there. That's part of the story being more full and just growing and just filling in adjusting to the different needs that we have to tell our story. Well, Leigh's story. And then,
did you have a particular character that you love exploring the most for their costume?
A particular character that I like exploring the most, is that what I heard? It's kind of a love-hate, because I don't have like a true training in costuming or anything like that, but sometimes Leigh will throw out these characters and they just like pop up. Like I can picture the image of a silhouette, colors, and those come really easily. But other things I have sleepless nights with, like Medusa, for example. No, I mean, once I see the movement of them, that's when I kind of fall in love with them, because I don't love them on the rack. I honestly don't. I'm like, oh, sorry, don't look too closely at the seams. It's okay. It's far away on a stage, it's moving. But then once I see like the full creation of it, like with it on stage, on the dancer, is when I realize, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad. It's like, and that's kind of what I hope to do with the costumes. I don't have one that I love. I actually have learned to just love each of the different ones. And it's not the costume, it's the character that Leigh has created. That's what I fall in love with, because I hope the costume never competes with what the dancer or the story needs to tell. I hope it becomes just like an equal part to the show, as opposed to being like, oh, what's that costume, or like, oh my god, look at that, and that's all they see. And I wouldn't want that. It needs to all like be seamless.
But if I could just say one quick thing, Wilma, one of the things I love about some of the costumes that you've done when I think about werewolves and witches in particular, those characters, like werewolves has these cloaks, and then also the witches have these skirts, and that really influences the choreography and then the storytelling as well, so that the dancers have those costumes, they become part of their characters. So it's really like this symbiotic relationship between your design and their movement and their character development. I think it really brings the characters to life a little bit more fully. So
those are some of the like scariest costuming things, when you have these wonderful, amazing ideas. It's like they're going to transform on stage, and it's like, oh my gosh, how do I do that? And the werewolves in particular, not to give away any amazing plot points or plot twists in our ballet, but they transform on stage, and I was like, how do I do that? How do we make this effective? And so it kind of just partly comes from the story character telling, and then other times it goes the other way, where I think witches in particular was one of those where you had swishy movement involved, but we weren't sure if the skirt should be incorporated into that kind of I see like a lot of flamenco influence when the witches are dancing with those skirts, and that's one of the ways. It's hard when Leigh is like, oh, I want the characters to do this, or like this transformation on stage, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll do my best. But then that's just one of the fun challenges, and one of the newer fun challenges is working with the remote versus the stage dancers. And I'm just so incredibly impressed with what our remote dancers come up with in their costuming. The werewolves here in the bottom right corner are remote dancers, and it's just so cohesive and true to the character, and everyone's just so committed to the costuming, apart from me being like, okay, buy these specific things and all of you look the same, which I don't want to do, because I don't think we want everyone to look the same. We want everyone to have a little bit of their own artistic influence to it too. And so what the remote dancers come up with is just amazing. I mean, the souls, we did have a particular look to mirror, and so they created what you see on the right, upper right. They created those at home, and it was just very amazing. I didn't know what their sewing ability or comfort would be, but they created these, and it just makes this production, when it's all put together, just so full and really feels professional, to be honest, when everyone is so committed to the look and their characters and the dancing.
Wilma, it is. As a remote dancer who's had to come up with some of the sewing aspects or hacking on aspects to create, it's a part of being, it's a special part of being part of this company. And I'm grateful.
Here, that's been the most fun.
Us as remote dancers.
That's been the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
And just to tease the hotel at the end of the universe streaming, yeah, the Tom, your costumings for that was just so great.
Your costumings for that was just so great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Awesome. So stream it this weekend. We'll put in a little plug for that at the end too. Thank you, Wilma. Let's move into makeup and the challenges of creating a horror ambiance aesthetic for makeup. And so that will have Jen.
Hi, everyone. Let me see. I'm not seeing myself on screen right now. There we are. Hi. Hopefully you all can hear me okay. And thanks so much for being here. This is super cool. As a dancer, performer, and horror fan, these are always so much fun to do. So thanks so much for having us. So I'm Jennifer Marchane. My pronouns are she and her. And I have been a member of the ballet company since its inception, which is 5 years. I've been around for 5 years. And I've been dancing with Leigh for 15 years. So we go way back. And I'm just going to share some makeup magic with you, if you will, for zombies and how we kind of created this look. So as you heard, Leigh in the beginning was talking about the various sort of the evolution of zombie ballet and how it came to be. And one of those things that she mentioned was having started this in a ballet class and sort of testing it on the dancers, and then going into doing things like Art Night Pasadena and having those experiences. And so honestly, the first time she asked me about getting involved with this, I was like, you know, you had me at zombie ballet. I don't know what this is, but I will do it. So I really kind of leaned in and jumped at the chance. And so my involvement in it goes way back, and we had all various like looks at the time. Like, I don't think she really said this has to look a certain way back in those days. So we all had different costumes and different makeups we did. Some people got really into the gore, some people didn't. And I sort of just gradually, I just gravitated to the look of like Night of the Living Dead kind of zombie, which is sort of a dead gray look. And I, you know, being really into Halloween when I was a kid, my mom gave me some tips and tricks at the time of how to make yourself look that way. And so I kind of just took that and kind of evolved it over time. And it just sort of kind of became the look and the makeup look for our, the company. So I'm going to show you how to do this. It's super, super simple. It takes very little product to do this. And we're going to get real like YouTube makeup artist right now with you. So I'm going to pull back my bangs so I can kind of show the whole deal here. So bear with me. All right. And I don't have any makeup on right now, and I already look like a zombie, but that's cool. Okay, so we're gonna take, okay, here are the products first of all. So you can use any foundation. You should know your own skin tone. And what I do is I go lighter on my foundation. So if I were like a creamy natural, I would go down maybe a step from that, or even a step down from that, to just get like a really pale look. So this is just something, this is not going to work, is it? It's like, anyway, so it's a Maybelline, it's 102, and it's a very fair porcelain color. So what I do is I take this, I think my blurred thing is affecting this. Hold on one second. There we go. Maybe this works better. Yay, I think you can see that now. Okay. And then we use something called zombie gray, which you can get this at any makeup supply place, Party City type thing. And so just a word of caution. So what I do is I mix these two to my liking for my skin tone. Zombie gray has a base. The gray in this is, it can come off as blue if you use too much of it. And also on certain skin tones that are darker, it can really read blue. So just a word of caution, you want to look dead and ashen and not necessarily like Avatar, you know? So, so what I do is I actually use the back of my hand to mix this, but I'm going to use this little paper plate thing that is probably just easier. And I just take a little bit and I take a little bit of the zombie gray. So like, again, you'll have to test this on your own skin tone. Take a little makeup wedge. Maybe you're fancy and you have one of those sponges. Those work too. And I just start mixing it. Whoa, where's my thing? Here we are. So I just start mixing it together. And then I start testing it on my hand. So I can be assured that it's going to be the right tone before I put it on my face. So that looks pretty right. Okay, and so you would just start putting this all over. This is, I have a little mirror next to me so I can see what I'm doing too. It's like weird because it's like not my mirror image, so I'm doing the best I can here. Like
Real quick to interject, the that zombie blue, I actually ran out of it recently. And what I ended up doing is using a white, like the pancake white that I just had, and some black, and mix that to make a gray. Because I was in a pinch, because it was for a thing that I had to do in a couple hours with Leigh, and I was like, oh, and it was too early for Halloween stores to be open. So I found that mixing a black and white actually makes a really nice shade of gray, because then you can mix in some of your foundation too to get it to the shade that you want that will match, will help cover your skin.
We actually have there are some Halloween stores that are like year round. I live next to, or sort of next to one that I will just go to because I like Halloween stuff. But they typically have it, and Party City only carries it really around Halloween time. So to your point, Wilma, yeah, you can totally substitute by mixing certain colors together. I would just say really test it on your hand first before you get it in onto your skin. This is reading on camera a little bit too white, but in my mirror, it's pretty to what I would normally do. So we're going to pretend like life is really, fast forward. I don't have a really speedy camera here where I can just do those cool edits that they do on YouTube. But let's pretend that this is like blended in really well. And what we're going to do, or what I do, what we all do, is then once you got, this looks crazy. Once you got this down here and you look like, dead, I use you can use like a dark gray, or you can use a dark brown, which is what I'm using, but it's just a little brown. This is, it's called Made for Mocha by Maybelline. So you would just start filling in your eyes. So I learned this from a YouTuber. So tap it off so you don't have any problems with too much of it going in. And you would just slowly start to add. So just don't go right in with a bunch of stuff or a bunch of eyeshadow. You want to kind of slowly blend it in. And whoa. Just sort of start blending in. And what I do is I actually try to go lighter as I go down in this direction. So in other words, you don't want it to come across as like just two big black circles around your eye. To really make it look effective, like you were just bitten by another zombie, you've been in the ground for like a day, and then you just came out of the ground, and now you look dead. You wouldn't look, like you had two shiners. You just look dead. So anyway, you would just go in with this this color. Again, your skin tone is what it is. So you use what you can on your skin tone that works well for you. And I just like gently go this way. I gently pull down and across.
Jen, is there a difference between stage makeup and convention makeup and television makeup as you're doing this?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So with the stage, yeah, we do emphasize a little bit more the circles and the grain, or the dark circles and the grayness, because it has to read with the lighting. With conventions that we've done, it's typically like what I'm doing right now, because sometimes at conventions we really don't know like if we're going to be right up against our audience or if they're going to be set back a little bit. So it kind of depends on what we're doing there, but typically like we would probably do this to get that for a convention. Now for TV, we've actually had makeup artists do ours, and they really emphasize it because now you're dealing with not lighting but cameras. So it gets interesting with that. And we've actually had some really cool experiences with, like when we did Gong Show, we kind of walked in and I let them know this is our aesthetic, because a makeup artist is going to want to make you like zombie, blood, the whole thing, right? But we were like, this is our look, this is what we do. And they were lovely. They, were working with us and getting like the right gray look to our skin. If it was too blue, they would pull back. So it was a cool experience. Anyway, so we just run this all through like your under eye. I'm so sorry, I don't know how much time I have. I don't know how much time I've taken. So please stop me if
not too much, but what we could do, we could show the clip of the Gong Show appearance while you're finishing.
Okay.
And then you can explain it at the end what you've done. So in the meantime, we're talking about our transition from the stage to convention. And are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's do that. Keep going.
Okay.
Oh, hello.
Fantastic! Yes! That's great. Mitzi, come over here. Come over here.
Whoa.
Oh.
Awesome. So tell us what you've done, and then let's transition to Leigh talking about how that's worked for us. It's spreading the word of ballet for everyone to conventions and onto TV, national exposure for zombies.
So am I talking first? I'm sorry. Is that Leigh?
You and Leigh together, yeah.
Go for it. Oh, me. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I was just going to say the finishing touches of this look. So did my eyes, and I also defined my cheekbones by actually just either using a brush to go in and do it. Oh my God. Okay, I have to see what I'm doing here. And then just sort of pulling that in to make you look a little bit more gaunt. In the temple area, etc. And so you would just work with your own face to get this going. And the other thing I was going to add is that what I've used in the past, which can be really effective, is this is just a Nye Blood Red Cream. I usually take a Q-tip and I just put a little bit on the end of a Q-tip, and then I go right in to the center of my eye, and I just add some red there, and that usually makes people step back a little bit, like, whoa. So that's really it. I mean, it's super easy. Line your eyes, mascara if you'd like to. Gentlemen don't have to, but you know, just to kind of make the eyes pop a little bit more. And
fabulous.
You can be dead just like me.
Thank you. Fabulous.
Awesome.
All right, Leigh.
So you're probably wondering, how do you get to the Gong Show? How do you get to national television? Well, here are the easy steps. So the first thing, it's easy. Just follow these guidelines so you'll get to national television. So the first thing we did was, so we started small. You know, we put our mini little 1.5 minute thing on at a event in Pasadena called Art Night Pasadena, and it was very local. And we realized that it was going to be a hit when we went to do it, and then they loved it so much that the venue manager said, "Hey, could you do that again in about another half an hour?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure, we can do that again." And then Jen connected us to Scare LA, which is a local, you know, not local, but it's like a, you know, like a horror convention in Los Angeles. And that was in 2016. That was our first one. And then the thing about those conventions is that people take videos all the time. And so they were taking photos of us and videos and everything, and it all ended up on the internet. And then the Gong Show said, "Hey, we saw this on the internet. We think it'd be pretty cool to go on the Gong Show." And both Jen and I were like, "Yeah, that's got to be a joke. What's the Gong Show? What? We're a ballet company." Because we think of ourselves first and foremost as a ballet company. It's not like, oh, we're, you know, like doing this horror thing. And so that's how we got on the Gong Show, is just, you know, just because of we had done these local things. And as Jen said, they really, you know, hooked us up with the makeup, and they did a fabulous job with our lighting and gave us really cool camera angles, and then we won. So that was really pretty cool. And then from there, you know, again, it's just, that's the sort of thing that just gets out there. And then, you know, then we got a call from America's Got, or an email from America's Got Talent. And then that was another opportunity to sort of get in front of people. And it's really cool because a lot, what we're finding, like when we go to these events, whether it's a convention or whether it's television, is that everybody says the same thing. It's like, "Oh, this is ballet? Oh, that's just," you know, and that's exactly the response we want. I was like, "Yeah, this is ballet." And it can be really cool, and it's not necessarily what you think it is, and you can be a part of it and enjoy it. So that's kind of how that's how we got into, you know, getting onto onto the national stage, you know. So, and both Jen and Wilma were a part of both of those events. I mean, they're I call them my OZs, my original zombies. we've done short films together all about the zombies, and it's like, so we've had a lot of other extracurricular zombie activities. So we've done them in a lot of different ways in a lot of different locations and schools, and other like book fair. Did we do it at a book fair? I don't know if we did a book fair, but we've done it at a lot of other things. So they also had a great, I think they were instrumental in making us, big.
And there are ways to get involved. So we continue to be surprising people in fun places. You can check us out at the end of the month at the Midsummer Scream in Long Beach, live. And also check us out this weekend for our science fiction time traveling live stream, Hotel at the End of the Universe. These links are all here at the vendor hall for you. We have awesome swag. Look at that shirt that Bill designed. It's terrific. And we put this together for you all. We have actually our very first link for our live stream of Sweet Sorrow, a zombie ballet that's going to be streaming all Halloween weekend. The stream is up there. You can get the first tickets, the first seats. The thing that makes this very bittersweet for us, sorrowfully bittersweet, is this the last time we're going to stage Sweet Sorrow for a couple of years. So it's going to go into the crypt, into the vault after this. So if you're really interested and you'd like to support the company, come on over to the vendor hall and buy a ticket, show your love. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen different ways to stay connected with us. And as you can tell, several of us are remote dancers. So if you're excited and intrigued by this and would love to learn more, get in touch, because it doesn't matter where you are or what you're about. We'd love to hear from you and see how you can help us spread the joy on ballet for everyone. Do we have any more questions or things that we should be making sure we address? Ian, I want to make sure, and also I want to make sure that our panels, they've been sitting patiently and generously giving each other time. If there's anything they want to chime in with, this is a great moment for that.
I will just say that I am really excited. Oh, there we go. Someone.
It looks like somebody's asked if somebody wanted to be involved as a remote dancer, how would they get involved? Should I take that?
Take it from there.
Oh, go ahead. Okay. If you're interested at all in being a remote dancer, I would say please reach out to us at our socials. And we also have, I think, our email there. I'm so sorry I can't see it. So that would be the best way to do it. And we'll get back in touch with you. And we have an intention every year. Typically, we're looking at new dancers on an annual basis, but reach out to us because things happen and we can get people involved that way. So we'd love to have you.
Could you talk a bit more about the idea that it is an intention rather than an audition? I think that's something people may not be familiar with.
I'll let Leigh take that one.
Yeah, well, typically an audition emphasizes the competitive nature between people, and we try not to do that. Basically, what we want to do is make sure that people are they're committing to being a part of the company and be part of the community. And so it's more of an it's like saying, I want to be a part of this and help support the mission, as opposed to I'm here for myself. And so like you can be there for yourself, but we also want, people we want people to really be a part of what we're doing. So who want to be a part of the community. So in that way, it's less of an audition than it is just an intention. Are there any dream projects you guys have? That's a great question. Circus at the, our Circus of Worldly Wonders. That's my dream project. That's the next thing that we're going to do. That's a steampunk ballet. So set in the Victorian steampunk age. Very excited about that. We've already done some bits and pieces of that. So that's one of the reasons that's one of the reasons why the Sweet Sorrow is going into the vault, into the tomb for a couple of years, because we want to concentrate on getting that one built. So that's our next big ballet.
I'd also love. Oh, sorry, Wilma.
Oh, I was just going to quickly say, I love how all your ballets, Leigh, that you create have some kind of fun twist element, a sci-fi, steampunk. I mean, who does that, right? Horror with Sweet Sorrow. That's it.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I think alongside the dream projects, I think collaborations would be really cool, and like whatever dream collaborations that we might want to look at. I think we're interested in doing things with other like professional companies or other amateur companies that have a very similar mission as we do. So I would just add that to the list as well.
Thanks again to all of our panelists. Thanks to Ian and for Gahana Gaming, and happy horror weekend. And support, don't be a monster, give to help prevent bullying or stop bullying, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. It was wonderful to spend this time with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.